Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're tuning in from around the world. Welcome to day two of the AI HR Summit, the world's largest event that brings together the best minds in HR and AI and over actually 11,000,
12,000. I think we're
over
getting closer.
12,000,
We're getting closer to 12,000 now.
12,000 HR executives that have joined us yesterday and today. So welcome. I was so excited to have you with us. This is brought to you in partnership with Hacking HR and HR leaders. We've partnered to do this, and most importantly, with our friends and sponsors at Glow, PeopleLogic, Vizia, Perceptyx, Cornerstone, and ASAP. We appreciate you as well. We're coming to you live in person from our studio in the heart of London, and we're super excited to have all of you with us. My name is Chris Rainey, co-founder and CEO at HR Leaders. And of course, I'm joined by now my new partner in crime, Enrique Rubio, founder of Hacking HR.
Thank you, Chris, and excited to be in London doing this event. I came to run this summit with Chris and his team. And we said yesterday, all that we're building here is the capabilities for HR, the vision for HR as well, to be leading the way forward, to become the trailblazer, not just a programmer or the function that is prompting ChatGPT to ask how to create a job description. No. I mean, we want you to do that, but we want you to lead the way and to become the trailblazer, leading everybody behind you into this new reality of work. So to do that, today we have a very exciting day ahead of us, this day number 2, where we will be joined by HR executives and AI innovators from all over the world who are coming here to share their knowledge, their experience, their insights, their stories, their lessons learned, so that all of us together can shape a bold new world of work, and more importantly, create the human-centric and the AI-enabled organization.
Love that. Those that are new, let me give you a quick tour of the platform if you wasn't here yesterday. So on the left-hand side, you have the live chat. So just take a second now to introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are, where you're tuning in from around the world. On the right-hand side, you'll be able to actually see the full agenda for the day. So if you click that, you'll see a breakdown of the full agenda. With that being said, let's jump into the first session of the day, where we're going to be discussing empowering HR with AI and building an engaged, high-performing organization.
Super excited about this session. And before I welcome Chair to the screen, our moderator for this first panel, I want to ask you all to make sure that you click on that share button on Crowdcast or LinkedIn, whatever you're tuning in from, and share with the community. So make sure that your team members, your friends, they know that this event is free, it's happening, it's empowering and enabling HR to be the trailblazer. So click on share and share on your network. So Chair, please come to the stage with me. I am so excited to welcome my friend Chair, who is also my comrade in the same state of Arizona, where we both live. In the U.S., Chair is a former chief HR officer, but always HR in her heart, of course, and the founder and principal consultant at Murphy Advisors. Chair, my dear, how are you? So good to see you.
I'm so good, Enrique. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Arizona representing, right?
Yes, the desert is definitely here today in London. So.
Wonderful. So, Chair, I am so excited about your session. Please take it away, have fun, and empower all of us with a great conversation that you are about to have. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for spending your morning with us. I am thrilled to be moderating this great conversation with such fantastic and brilliant HR leaders across the globe. And I'm gonna, today our session is empowering HR with AI, and really having everyone think about how are you building an engaged and high performing organization through this AI journey. So I'm gonna ask all of our participants to introduce themselves and just briefly, and then we'll start this amazing conversation. So I'm just going to start with Sarah Catherine.
Sure. Thank you, Cher. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm the VP of Customer Experience at PeopleLogic, and we have an AI-enhanced performance management platform that takes organizations from spreadsheets to superpowers. So I'm currently joining from Chicago, but I am a lifelong North Carolinian. And selfishly, I'm excited to learn from the individuals on this panel and come away with some inspiration.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah Catherine. And Antoinette, if you'll share with us, and then also just one moment on like what you're most energized about working in this space right now.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Antoinette. I work at an organization called Murmuration. We build data, tools, and technology to increase civic engagement. And I am located in New York City, the city that never sleeps. And I'm really excited just about our ability to be more efficient. For a long time, HR has been doing things in a certain way. And so now we have this opportunity to do things differently and be more efficient. So I'm super excited about what's to come.
Great. Thanks so much, Antoinette. And Rahul.
Hi, thanks, Cher. So I am from Kathmandu, Nepal. I'm currently a learning and development manager at Home Loan Experts. And the thing that I'm really excited about is being at the very early stage of this massive change, that's going to shape humanity for the next couple of years. And just being able to explore that with all of the individuals here, it's really exciting.
Rahul. And Lisa.
Hi, good morning, Cher and team. My name is Lisa Hammond. I lead the people functions at Veradigm. Veradigm is an amazing healthcare technology company supporting patients, providers, and life sciences with EHRs, AI-powered tools, and also data analytics. I'm super excited today to echo Antoinette. It's really continuing to think about how we can streamline those onerous HR processes and really support more of a strategic HR model where we can become better business partners, spend more time supporting the upskilling, training, and coaching of our teams in order to maximize their potential, which of course we hope results in greater revenue and rewards for all. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So, after watching yesterday, I think the one stream and what the audience globally wants to know is, it's like where to start, right? The hype can be overwhelming. There's so much going on. And so Lisa, just, being the CHRO that you are, like, what can you share with us and how can you help people about where to start and share your experience with that?
No, I appreciate the question. I know everybody's nodding their heads as well. I think for me, one of the things that I would say is your attendance here is probably the ticket to starting. I think all of us have dabbled and ChatGPT'd and looked around at all of the tools, and my team brings things, and IT, all of us together trying to sort through the same bright light that is AI. And so, for me in my role, it's really, giving people the freedom to say, hey, go look, go find, go source. We have been working with PeopleLogic. There's Cornerstone here. Perceptyx is another vendor partner that we utilize. But go to your vendors too. You already have people in your network and that you have contracts with that you're probably using for tools and resources, and they are maybe farther down the road than you are. And I think for me, it took a little bit of getting over imposter syndrome as it relates to AI, where you kind of think you know what it is and you feel a little bit confident, and then you realize you know just enough to not know enough. So I would say attendance at these webinars and just dig in, set your team free to go out and harvest the things that other people are doing, and really follow fast, because all of us are, it's here, and it can do great things for us as an organization and for our employees. So you just dive in with open curiosity.
Oh, I love that you said open curiosity. And Rahul, I'm curious, like in your role, like specifically with L&D, like where do you suggest people start, and where have you started on your journey?
Yep. So I like to think of like getting used to any behavior uh, and breaking it down into three factors. So there's motivation, there's ability, and there's a prompt. And I got this off of a book called Tiny Habits, which basically explains behavior into these three as a sum of all these three things. Now, with motivation, I'm guessing, if you're in the webinar right now, you've got a pretty high motivation in terms of you want to learn what's there. The next thing is then ability. Now, with AI, no matter how complex the system is, the access or the barrier to entry is really low. You can access all of these free, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and the free version is pretty good, right? If you want to get some simple tasks done, it's very good. So the ability is really there. So all you need is a good prompt. Now, a prompt is basically a trigger that gets you to do that behavior. And a prompt could be as simple as, embedding ChatGPT or Gemini as part of your homepage when you open your browser, right? In the latest update from Google Chrome's, I think all you need to do is just press the add button, and it prompts you to ask Gemini whatever you're going to ask. So it could be as simple as putting a little star sticker in your add button, which reminds you, to just go and explore. And one of the things my boss did, and he was a big AI enthusiast. So whenever I'd go and ask him a question, the first thing he'd say was, "Have you tried asking ChatGPT?" So, and that became a natural prompt for me to sort of, okay, let's explore that. And the more you do it, like with any other skill, you're going to get better at it, right? And, and you can start using or experimenting with the more advanced models, right? You can use the free version to sort of create a business case for yourself, to ask your boss or ask your company to pay for the free model, to pay for the premium version. And, that's how you can get started.
That's great, Rahul. So I'm curious, I'm just going to ask everyone this question because I know that there's so many people who have like such concerns. And so Antoinette, where did you start, or how are you starting with your team?
Yeah, I really love what Raul was saying in terms of giving a prompt, because I think the first thing is actually building that muscle memory. I want to give an example of like how, AI can be really beneficial, especially as it relates to learning and development, and training. And so we were trying to create a new training at Murmuration around our managers, and doing it kind of what I would say old school, developing it, writing it through, and we are doing so much with less across HR now, more than ever. And the amount of time that it was going to take me to develop it versus put it into ChatGPT, and all of a sudden you have a session ready to go, onboarding ready to go, that you can actually take and then apply that to the knowledge that you actually have, is incredible. And so building that muscle memory and actually showing the team where it can be beneficial and how we can utilize our time more efficiently is where we start. We start to say, okay, what can we do with ChatGPT? And then what else can we do, right? If we are doing this over here and it's giving this in 30 seconds, then let's think about all of the other things that we're going to be able to accomplish. And so that's where I've been able to start and really get some buy-in from our team members in terms of utilizing this more often, and trying to think about ways that we can utilize AI to increase our efficiency as much as possible.
So that really leads me into, so there's all these ways that you guys are like doing these like first steps. And but what we find with so many leaders is that there are barriers to starting that we don't think of, right? That it is simple. And so Sarah Catherine, I'm really curious, like, where do you see the barriers with this lower adoption, and like what are your insights to share with our audience on how to go through those barriers easily?
Sure. Thank you for the question, Chair. I appreciate it. We all know that HR is typically behind the rest of the organization when it comes to AI adoption as well as other initiatives. But why? No one bats an eye when the organization trusts AI, but does the organization trust HR with AI? And so I think that is the first barrier, because it's always an uphill battle for HR, and getting more advanced analytics and tools and workforce insights and budget is really the challenge and the first barrier to overcome here. And making that business case, as Antoinette mentioned, and proving out through little steps and small ways is a way to overcome that barrier and get to some of that greater buy-in at the organizational level. I think we'll talk about fear here in a little bit, because fear drives decision making. But I also think that there's a barrier that we need to acknowledge as we move forward, which is legislation. So some of us are in Europe at points in time. We have a lot of customers in Europe at PeopleLogic. And EU AI legislation is actually something that we talk quite a bit with our customers about, because it's unknown, similar to the way that GDPR was unknown in 2017. And so organizations don't really know how they're going to be impacted by AI and selecting a tool for HR. And so I think Lisa mentioned this earlier, in terms of overcoming that barrier, starting those conversations with your vendors now and having open and honest conversations about what their solutions can and cannot do, what it does in terms of giving you still that agency and ownership over the input, and how it can complement, how AI can complement the context and information that you bring to the table.
And that's so interesting. And I know that I'm kind of going, jumping around because, there's all of this is so linked for you.
Mhm.
So I think when you just said overcoming the fear of AI, Antoinette, because of working in the space that you are as a business, like how have you overcome that fear of AI in your organization and with all of your stakeholders?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, I'm the Chief People and Equity Officer at Murmuration. And so a large part of my job is to get investment and buy-in, with just human capital, which is what we think of as 2/3 of our budget, right? And so that strategy around our human capital as it relates to AI can be pretty tricky. I think one of the things that was tricky for us in the technology space was around knowledge and skills. We had a lot of engineers who were like, okay, we can be utilizing AI to do this. And then it was a question of, okay, well, actually, do we know what our staff members know how to do versus what they're actually just plugging into AI? And so the way that we kind of have overcome that barrier is by, one, having just critical conversations, listening to our leadership and understanding what are their concerns with introducing AI, listening to our staff to hear, okay, here's how they'd like to use AI within the workplace. And then also figuring out what our organizational goals are. And again, how we can move towards doing more with less in our organization if we're actually utilizing AI. So I think those three different types of conversations have really helped us overcome barriers, and then actually putting in policies and training around AI and ChatGPT, so people know here's appropriate ways to use it, and here's not what's appropriate, and here's what our expectations are for staff members who are utilizing it. And then I think one of the barriers that Sarah Catherine talked about was the licensing piece. And so getting the investment and buy-in to ensure that we have an organizational license around this. And then also ensuring that we're talking to staff about, one, taking advantage of it, because it's always one thing when you provide a resource in an organization and nobody actually takes advantage of it. And you need people to take advantage of it and then figure out how to actually utilize it and then call it out in those team meetings, so that people know that this is a resource, it has been used, and it helps us do more faster.
That's so amazing because what I really think is we have the experience being HR leaders in transformation, and not just our own transformation, but an organization's transformation. And so, Lisa, I'm really curious how you've overcome the fear, and then really like how you're using this, you're using AI and predictive analytics in the transformation of HR.
So we are still what I would consider a starter kit. We have the added wrinkle of being a healthcare technology company, which means we have privacy and security plus, because it's possible that many of you that are on are a patient of a provider that we service or partner with. So our PSEC team, our compliance team, the IT team, all of us we're all wrestling with the same thing. So we have put a couple of small policies in place governing use of AI within the organization. And one of the things that we've done to kind of organically settle in with it is we do have a robust learning partner, and they introduced AI in their learning paths and in their learning modules. So any of our employees can go in and start asking about their career. You know, what are your goals for your career? So we're starting it on a more organic basis, and that helps overcome the fear where I can go in and I can actually say, hey, maybe HR is not my career path anymore. What do I need to do to look at a COO role? Or I want to be the head of PSEC, which, obviously was probably not going to happen, but you ask it and it actually gives you good advice, right? It says, well, based on this, you're going to have to go back to school and do all these things. But we're really approaching it starting with things that are less kind of what I would call the true confidential, like no birth dates, there's nobody's origin, none of that stuff is out there. It's really about how do you use the tool to self-coach and build some self-awareness around the needs. I see Rahul's nodding his head. I know when we did the pre-work for this, that he was a big advocate for this approach as well. And so I think that overcoming the fear is the baby steps, like Antoinette, Rahul, and Sarah mentioned, it's go use the tool. But I think once it hits the kind of overlaying the skin of the organization, we're in the middle of integrating Workday. So obviously we've got lots of discussion happening in the organization that I think for us, we try to chat a bot, as an employee, I could say, hey, how many PTO days do I have left, or things like that. But if you don't have all your internal systems up and running and they're in a place that they all are integrated, that makes the AI even more of a barrier because you're not overlaying it over something functional and strong. And so that's why we've taken the approach that we're going to just start organically with using the learning path approach, learning the job description approach, using some of the more soft pieces, I guess I would say, of AI. And we're saving the things that would be governed by compliance and PSEC for when we complete our internal infrastructure transformation. And so I think if you start with the more interpersonal and the less sort of what I would call functional HR, I think you can open your mind faster to it because it's benefiting you as an associate and as a member of HR.
So here's a question I'm going to ask all of you. So we've had some great conversation around process and what are like the policy and where we're in these processes. And I'm going to start this with Sarah Catherine. Catherine, how have you seen the organizations that you work with really foster the psychological safety and the humanity piece? We talked a lot about process and design and but like, how are you seeing the amplification of all good things human with using AI to create these empowered, engaged organizations?
I love that question. I could talk about psychological safety for a very long time. Antoinette knows this. And what I love about what Antoinette said, because we've worked together previously, is those safe spaces that you create for people to experiment and to try and to innovate. That's how you start to drive some psychological safety around, okay, I can do this and I feel empowered to do this. The involvement of employees in implementation, I think, is very, very important to build that psychological safety and that confidence in HR and the organization. And then psychological safety is also tied to being able to learn through skills development and more structured programs. And so when we think about psychological safety, there's this learner component where you have to feel comfortable and safe to learn something new, and then you can contribute. And ultimately, you can be part of the greater organization and the solutions that you're implementing. So that's the way I view psychological safety, is just creating those safe spaces to experiment, involving employees, and providing skills development for them so that they can go and do and be empowered.
Thank you so much. Antoinette, where are you experiencing that?
I think as Sarah Catherine shared, psychological safety is definitely something that we think a lot about. And one of the places as it relates to our work in HR is around some of the admin work, right? The note-taking work and confidential conversations, et cetera, is a place where AI can benefit the function of HR, but create some barriers in terms of people feeling psychologically safe, right, in meetings, right, one-on-one meetings, and trying to figure out what the balance is between, us being able to do more with less, right, and ensuring that when people come to us, we are a safe space, people can feel psychologically safe, and knowing that AI is going to be used positively, but not in a way that it's going to be more of a gotcha, has been really tricky. So we have been working on, what is that, what are the talking points? What are the entry to ensuring that when people come onto meetings, we allow for people to have a choice. And that has built some psychological safety to say, hey, look, we'd love to use, Zoom note taking or, Otter AI or whatever it is, just to make sure that we're being accurate and focusing more so on the positives to build psychological safety versus thinking people thinking every single thing that I'm saying is going to be captured. But it is easier for us to engage in these conversations without having to focus on typing down every single word, without doing all of the other admin pieces, but trying to build that psychological safety really takes a lot of repetition. It takes a lot of counseling, the emotional support, and then having empathy, I think, for staff in these conversations to try to build the psychological safety in order to use some of these tools.
I echo what Antoinette said on the much smaller scale, that because of the transformation we're going on at Veradigm internally, our change management leader, who is part of the HR team, is using Copilot, and it is part of our meetings now, and everyone feels a little bit more secure. It's building that emotional security and that feeling of safety over time, the way Antoinette was mentioning, that everyone knows that when you come on these meetings that we've got this tool running. And the key thing that was so eye-opening for a lot of us was it then gives you the actions and the deliverables. It creates, it kind of creates a deliverable. So if whether you're a leader or an employee, it kind of delivers, to Antoinette's point, this security of knowing that what was said is actually reflected accurately, which if you're an unhappy employee or an unhappy leader or an annoyed HR person trying to listen to any of these unhappy people, and you do introduce this and you say, what is it you're looking for from me? What does success look like for you? And you have this Copilot hanging out with you. It takes some of that onus out of the whole conversation and enables us to say, hey, this is what I heard you say. And actually, this is what, the tool heard you say. And let us work towards success for everyone here. And so in terms of project work and on the interpersonal side, I think, what Antoinette was mentioning is really key, that it's also a comfort place to start small and really build.
Antoinette, I love, sorry, Cher. Antoinette, I love what you said about giving people a choice. And so if I put my product and VP of customer experience
Yeah.
hat on, Rahul knows this. Our platform gives people a choice every step of the way. And that's something that we do a lot of training on with our customers as well, is you can use these AI features and generate OKRs. You can use the feature that generates feedback. Know that it's grounded in a place where you still have a choice about the input, because ultimately you're going to have to own the outcome. So I love that you said choice, and just giving people that option without making that decision for them, because AI can also get to a place of making that decision for you. And that's where it goes a little bit sideways.
Great. Rahul, do you want to share about where you're seeing the skills for, like, I hate soft skills as a word, but like where you, the learning and development expert, are seeing AI help enhance the humanity and the leadership skills as well?
Yep, definitely. I'd just like to bounce off of what Antoinette and Sarah, like Sarah said, around being able to give people a choice. And when they do make that choice, like really reinforcing that, giving them status, giving that appreciation and a little bit of affiliation in terms of, a thank you for being comfortable with this. Thank you for being like an early adopter when it comes to using these AI. And that's how like learning and development practitioners can sort of identify, throughout the organization, who the change advocates could be, who the real leaders behind this transformation could be, and and investing in that group, I think makes a lot of sense. It gives, it's cheaper when the people that you are trying to engage are already engaged. So, and being able to do a lot with a lesser budget is always an easier pitch to our executives. So I think that's how we can start, by starting off from a small group, enabling them to use AI. So we started by doing some basic level ChatGPT training on, how to give prompts. And, when after we identified the ones that actually utilized that training for better productivity, we gave them paid access to the premium versions, got them to create like custom GPTs. And I really love a good custom GPT. It makes works really easy. So and yeah, that's how like you can start small, like Lisa said, and really echo, because if it's something really good, if it's something really positive, I think it spreads over time. And by the time it, like you even have your late adopters, either through like fear of missing out, join in on the bandwagon, and you really get that adoption going. So I'd say the important part is to really engage those early adopters and those innovators in your team, and give them a voice, give them status, give them affiliation, and that will really echo throughout the organization.
Right. So that really leads to my next question for Lisa. For engagement and for all of you, like, can you share any data or case studies about like all of these pieces we've been talking about and how that's affecting employee engagement?
So it's interesting for us, as as I've mentioned, we're a bit of a starter kit, and I know Antoinette is role modeling some of the things that we aspire to. I think for us, and using Perceptyx, which is our listening partner, so and also part of this AI summit, and our pilot that we've been working through with PeopleLogic. For me, and seeing some of the early returns there, I think the confidentiality and the ability to pull in just the massive amounts of data that employees want to share with you. We're getting to an age where the old way, which I still embrace, or a way that's proven it works, is coffee talk, skip levels, all of the listening that we've done before. It should be enhanced as we continue to learn and use AI in our organizations to drive better engagement. And so I think in a very small way, taking it, and you're right, Cher, I hate the word soft skills. I'm always trying to use like interpersonal or any other word. I'm open. Chat in a word if you have one that you're using better. We'd love to hear it. Is to really help the associate feel more empowered and more engaged in their own development and their upskilling. Because to Rahul's point, and we partner with LinkedIn Learning, and I know Cornerstone's on here as well. But LinkedIn Learning has over 47 AI learning paths. And over the past 3 months, we have seen, we're a 2,600 person organization. 327 people have engaged in the last 90 days in one of those AI learning paths. And about 500 unique views are clicking into the videos that are little vignettes on AI. And so as we see that continue to increase and the psychological safety of like, okay, this is the space I live in now. Artificial intelligence isn't going to take my job. It's not going to steal my identity. It's okay. We are seeing more and more people engaged. And our hope is in 2025 that we can, implement more of a strategy that says, hey, Perceptyx and other PeopleLogic and our other vendor partners, we're ready to really dive in and see the coffee talks move next level and see the engagement driving. But I think for us, we know it's out there. We know the brass ring is in front of us in terms of really pulling in feedback and using the huge amount of analytics to our favor. And I want to get the things that you can't get off Power BI. Which those are hard analytics, right? Those are real things. But then it's how do we harvest in all this other, I hate saying noise because noise has got a negative connotation, but the sound around the organization, how do we pull it in? So, definitely we're thinking about it in 2025. How do we harness? We have all the pieces and we just haven't gotten over all of our fear yet to dive all the way in. Yeah. So.
I would say, synthesizing everything together is this piece. I will say one of the best pieces of the introduction to AI into HR is that we can say humanity skills instead of saying soft skills. And we're like, we don't have to fight over management skills or leadership skills, right? It's just humanity skills. So Antoinette, I'd love to, where you're further on that journey, talk to us about your journey with employee engagement.
Yeah, I really love what you said, Lisa, especially as it relates to innovation, and just the clicks and the data that you all are actually getting. And I think one of the things that I also kind of want to highlight as it relates to engagement is not only engagement with AI, but engagement in the organization. And so even at the top, Lisa, you talked a little bit about bottom line and a lot of the things that are driving the new HR, right? And as a chief people officer in the C-suite are revenue, right? And our connection to business and our connection to finance. And I think what we're saying here is as people actually engage in AI, their satisfaction, their job satisfaction increases, their retention increases, right? And they have more opportunities to innovate. They have more opportunities to grow. And then in return, we on people, right? Or in people are now creating new growth pathways, new ways of thinking. And it's really like cyclical. So when it comes to that engagement piece, I think the additional piece that I would just add on to what Lisa is saying is like how people actually engage in the organization as it relates to AI increases retention and increases career development and opportunities.
I agree, Antoinette. And Lisa, I just keep talking over you, Cher. I'm sorry. The only other thing that I would say is as you drive that engagement in AI and then ultimately drive employee engagement, you as an HR professional get to elevate and get more strategic investments in talent initiatives and prove out the ROI of those investments. And so it is cyclical, and it allows us to elevate as professionals as we encourage these modernizations of technology and usage of AI within our workforce.
And it's funny because the business part of my brain, Cher, is listening to Antoinette and Sarah Catherine saying, it would be lovely to not ever hire a machine learner at Veradigm. It would be lovely to
Mm.
have people upskilling over the next 18 to 24 months and meeting the need internally with lots of promotions and things like that. And so just thinking about it from what are the possibilities for people that are in the technology space now, that if they're open and curious and willing, you know, to do it, there's so much career growth that can be had as well. Yeah.
Well, and Lisa, I think it's interesting for you to say that and to go back to a previous comment that you mentioned, which is, you know, AI helping HR pull the thread on all the data that we have and bring it all together. And ultimately, when we're able to do that, we can see who's building those skills and who may be ready to take that path. And it'll be a wonderful day when we can do some workforce planning with AI and know where our workforce is actually going with greater certainty. So love that.
And Rahul, that just really opens up for you, as you know, Lisa says, like, here's how learning and development is going to, you know, drastically disrupt the talent strategy.
Yeah.
I think as we're getting closer to time here, like, where do you see the future of learning and development in HR with AI? Like, how do you envision like where Lisa's taking us in this question?
Yeah, so definitely, you know, as Lisa mentioned, Joe, so and I think even Antoinette mentioned that we're going to have quite a shift in terms of, you know, being able to automate or, you know, do all of the administrative stuff without much effort, right? And what that does do is really amplify. And I don't like you using the word soft skills as well. I just call them real skills. Yeah. So really amplify the real skills, you know, the humane skills, and make work like more humane. It again, and like any other innovation, I'd say, you know, if you go back to the introduction of social media, in the beginning, you know, it was really cool to see my cousin who lives in London, right, and exchange messages real time, exchange photos real time. But at the same time, as it grew, it became something, you know, which was out of control, right? It gave people insecurities. You know, a lot of people were scammed and all of that. So I think it's going to be similar with AI as well. So again, definitely there's a lot of positives that we could derail, and like any other tool, it's up to the user and to see, you know, what they make of it. So I really anticipate that it can either really amplify human connections, it can really make work feel, you know, it can get everyone connected, but at the same time, you know, if it's not utilized if it's utilized the wrong way, if there aren't good enough regulations. So, you know, regulatory bodies need to definitely be smarter, right? Which generally they're not. So that could be a challenge, but I think it's up to the HR teams to sort of do that regulatory work for their organizations, and, you know, and really pave the way and really set the future of AI, because the future is here, and you want to get ahead of it. Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul. So we're at time. I want to ask you all for a lightning round. If you had one quick piece of advice for leaders around the globe on empowering HR with AI, what would it be? And let's start with Antoinette.
Awesome. So it's been a pleasure to be here. I thought it would be fun to put into ChatGPT, how can HR leverage? And it says, AI can transform human resources by improving efficiency, enhancing decision-making, and creating a better employee experience. And it is spot on. I agree with that. And so well done, ChatGPT, but it can really be a useful resource for us.
And Sarah Catherine.
Sure. I think my parting advice or thoughts is really research AI agents. This is something that I'm reading so much about, and my husband is developing a custom AI agent for HR. And so it's going to be part of that pulling the thread of all of the data and analyzing that workforce data. So look at AI agents because they're really cool.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. And Lisa, last piece of advice.
I wish I had asked Claude. because Claude's my friend now. I built a nice relationship with Claude. But I would say just lean in. I don't know how else to say it. Get your hands dirty, try some things. Yesterday I was trying to build content for a board presentation. I said, you know what? I have my friend Claude over here. I'm going to go ask him for some help. And I think that's the biggest thing, because so many of us are dabbling, but we just haven't given ourselves that big push. It's here. It's time. Don't be afraid. Go get them. And
Thank you.
thank you for the discussion today.
Rahul, one quick, we're over time, but one piece of advice.
Yep. So I would just say, echoing to what Lisa said, start small. Just try and use it for some basic, simple, problem solving. Use it to plan a trip for abroad, right? And the more you use it, the better you're going to get at it. And the faster you learn on what are the things you want to use it for and what are the things you don't want to use it for as well. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you for spending this hour with us, and so grateful for the learning. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Over to share you did an incredible job moderating. It was a fantastic session, amazing insights on our panelists as well. I know we're a little bit over time, but I'm going to quickly ask you, what was your key takeaway from the conversation?
Key takeaway from the conversation is to really combine the humanity, amplify the humanity with all of the great processes and technologies. And that's really the path forward. That's what I heard from these great leaders and what they're doing inside their organizations right now.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. We've got to run to the next session, but I appreciate you. What an incredible way to kick off the summit. Thanks a lot. And for everyone listening, we're going to have a quick 15-minute break before we jump into the next panel, where we're going to be talking about employee experience in HR and how to leverage AI to support employees through those moments that matter. In the meantime, make sure you click the green button below. You can download the research and guide right there on how to get HR unstuck and align your HR tech strategies with business goals for maximum impact and success. It's only going to be there for this session, so quickly download that now before you do anything else. Is going to change the next one to do that. Also, before you go, we got a lot of emails from you yesterday, and many of you emailed us regarding, hey Chris, how do I access the on-demand replays? Hey Chris, what's happened to Atlas Copilot? So quick update for those that are just joining who weren't here yesterday. Yesterday we launched Atlas Copilot, the world's first AI copilot for HR leaders that gives you instant access to HR questions, boost productivity, personalized skills development. We've also created agents. We just mentioned that on our session. So we've got our Dave Warwick agent, our Amy Emerson agent, our experts that we've built out there. We did drop a offer yesterday during the live stream where we gave 100 people, the first 100, 50% off the annual subscription. So it was only $99 for the whole year. What we didn't anticipate is those cheeky companies that bought 50 passes just for their one HR team. So it didn't leave any left for everyone else watching. So whilst we appreciate your support, companies listening, investing in your entire HR department, it meant that we had like 30 left for the individuals. So with that being said, we're basically opening it back up today so that individuals can have access, because we really want to democratize access to this and not just have great companies. So there's a QR code here on the screen. If you scan that, it will be $99.50 for the entire year to have access to Atlas Copilot as well. And you'll also have access to all of the on-demand replays. And you won't just be able to watch the content back. You can ask questions in any language and any HR question, and it will take you to the exact moment during the summit and pinpoint the exact answer during those videos. So you don't have to scroll through 16 hours of content. You can ask a question. It will take you to the exact moment that answers your question as well. And you'll be able to access all of the resources. I just wanted to let you know, for those that kept emailing me as well, it's available now. So go and do that. Scan the code before it disappears. Apart from that, have a quick break, everyone. We'll see you all back here in 15 minutes. So thanks again to our amazing panelists. You're the best. See you later. Bye-bye.